breaking news from California, as we have up on Infowars.com. Mexican flag-wearing La Raza militants arrive in Murrieta, California. This is the place where there's a standoff between citizens who are protesting the 140 immigrants that are going to be brought in every 72 hours into the place by our government, importing the immigrants. So they've pushed back against that. They've stopped the importation now 3 times. So the federal government is bringing in reinforcements. They're bringing in La Raza. We also have Infowars reporters there, and we're going to be talking to them later on in the show. We've got Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, who has already been threatened by some of these people. Of course, there's also interviews with some other Hispanics there who point out that La Raza is a Hispanic KKK. And Alex is going to be joining us in just one second. But before we go to him, also we're going to have Jerome Corsi later on in the program. He's going to be pointing out what only WND and Infowars has been pointing out, and that is the establishment believes that America is finished. This is the beginning of North America as an established fact, the North American Union. Both Petraeus and Pelosi have openly said that. Corsi wrote an article about it yesterday. We pointed it out a couple of weeks ago when Petraeus first said that in London. But going now to Alex Jones. Alex?
That's right, my friend. Joining you via audio Skype. I'll be back live tomorrow and throughout the week and next Sunday. When it rains, it pours. I've had some more family issues and another death in the family. So
I think we just lost him there on the phone, but we're going to have him back. We're going to reestablish connection. I wanted to bring you up with what's going on with this Mexican flag wearing La Raza militants article there at Murrieta. Of course, they say that they're there to protect the children. You understand, of course, that Obama says that the children that are being protected under the DREAM Act is anyone up to the age of 31 years old. Yes, that's what's happening. We've also got other articles that we're going to be talking about. HHS is muzzling the media in tours of an Oklahoma facility. And we reported on this before that Congressman Bridenstine has gone there. He was concerned about the welfare of the children, and rightfully so. How do children get across a continent unaccompanied as minors, very young minors? Who's bringing them in? Who are they being turned over to? Well, when he went to the facility, the military facility, he was told that he couldn't enter, even after he told them he was a U.S. congressman. Now they're threatening the media, saying that they can come in, but they can't talk to any of the kids. They can't record anything. And he's saying this is not a free country. And, of course, our reporter, Kit Daniels, was threatened with arrest because we took pictures from outside of Lackland Air Force Base down in San Antonio where this was happening. This is not even just limited to journalists and congressmen, of course. They're threatening the public. That's what's going on in Murrieta. You see, ICE and others are pushing back against the public who is protesting it. And in Dallas, they're doing it proactively. We were going to have a clip coming up from a Dallas judge who has gone door to door before the immigrants have been shipped into an abandoned school there, telling people that, well, you can protest, but you better do it within the law. And, of course, Dallas is one of the places with the most restrictions on free speech. Whether it was the George Bush Library protest, whether it was the Infowars and Alex Jones protesting the shutting down of free speech on the JFK anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the assassination. In both of those cases, Dallas pushed back. They shut down free speech. They've extended their rules to protests that are within 75 feet of a road. Now, of course, interfering with transportation was not an issue at either of those protests, either at the George Bush Library protest or the JFK assassination event. Neither of those were anywhere near a facility, but they're using that as a pretense, as they do all over the country. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show on this Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. I'm David Knight in the studio. La Raza has arrived at Murrieta, California. That's, of course, the place where protesters are protesting the fact that 140 illegal immigrants are being flown in every 72 hours. They've turned away a couple of shipments, and so reinforcements have arrived from the federal government, I guess we could say. La Raza, because they're trying to play this up as a race versus race issue. How better to do that with La Raza? But we also have Infowars reporters who have arrived on the scene. We're going to be talking to them later in the day. We have 2 reporters on the scene, and we're going to be talking to them separately, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs as well as Jakari Jackson, and we're going to be joined by Jerome Corsi in the 3rd hour. He's going to talk about what is really behind all of this. This is really the collapse of America. And on the phone, we have Alex Jones. Alex, this is the collapse of America, isn't it?
Yes,
still getting the music in my ear, just so everybody knows there at the network.
Okay. We got it. Hello, Alex? I think we lost him. We've got a little bit of a phone issue there. Now, in other breaking news, we're going to reestablish connection. We're going to get Alex right back because he wanted to cover what's going on. There is a tremendous amount of information that is coming out now in the immigration area. We've got the LAPD is going to halt detention of undocumented immigrants at the request of ICE. Now, of course, the LAPD is saying, you know, we've got more important things to do than to hold people coming into the country in waves of massive immigration. What we're really concerned about is getting drugs off the street, stopping gun violence. So on behalf of our taxpayers, we're going to say no more. Well, you know, actually, drugs are the central problem. If you're looking at the collapsing countries in Central and South America where there is so much violence, it's because of our war on drugs. And it's because they have no firearms, of course, in those countries. And so the people in those countries, with a few exceptions of the places where you've got Mexican provinces where militias have formed to stand up against the corrupt government, against the drug lords there, with the exception of those areas, they're essentially at the mercy of the drug war, just like we saw in Chicago this last weekend. We had 82 people shot and 14 people killed in Chicago. Why? Because of drug wars. That's what we've been told many times by law enforcement, by judges. We've interviewed Jim Gierach with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition several times on this show. He's a former prosecutor out of Chicago. He knows that area very well. He says 80% of the shootings in Chicago, at least when he was there, up to the point of about 5 years ago, were drug-related. And I just hear that we've got Alex Jones back. Alex, can you hear us?
Yep, third time's the charm, hopefully. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have our reporters down there on the border in Southern California right now in Marietta. And reportedly, Joe Biggs, one of our reporters, has been basically threatened, a threat on his life. That's coming up at the bottom of this hour with Jakari Jackson, Joe Biggs, and we'll also have staff reporter Kit Daniels and, of course, Josh Owens there with you, who famously got that footage when the feds backed down with that situation out in the Bundy situation in Nevada. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is all part of a larger program to implode the United States into the North American Union. Out of crises, they will build their new world order. Order out of chaos is the plan. And the narrative is that this is just about Democratic voters. And the narrative is this is about Cloward and Piven and more socialism and more dependency. And that's part of it. But the larger issue is bringing in a major crisis that is a smokescreen for the feds to federalize the western states and other states that are on the verge of financial collapse. So this is about driving the entire country into the type of downward spiral we've seen in Detroit. This is the globalist program. This is what they do. This is what they've done all over the world. And they are advertising for MS-13, La Raza, Mecha, the literal dregs of southern North America, Mexico, Central America, Guatemala, South, and then, of course, South America. And even Vice documentaries on HBO just show the incredible crime, the drug addicts, the leprosy, just the diseases, which is just now pouring across the border, and this is being done by design. And now we have the bombshell information up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Obama gives Marietta area ICE agents stand-down order, Cloward and Piven strategy in full swing. And if you remember, it's not just Paul Joseph Watson's new article. It's the Border Patrol Union president and vice president, one of which you've interviewed, David, who were on record, ladies and gentlemen, saying that 3 months ago they were given a stand-down order from San Diego to McAllen, Texas, from Southern California to Texas, and they're told, stand down, go pick up trash, go do something else. Reinforcements are coming, so they never ever have to put it on paper that they've actually ordered a full stand-down. But this is the greatest definition of high treason by by the president and the criminals that control the Democratic Party, and they want to exploit the giant immigrant population out of Central South America and Mexico, who the political class, the big banks, but right down to the, quote, La Raza, Mecha, Chicano leaders and the law firms that serve them, literally feed on this population and literally use this population as a black market mules, not just for drugs, but for money laundering, you name it. And so the huge drug war we've seen in Mexico against different drug cartels controlled by different federal and global agencies, the CIA backing Los Zetas on record, that's come out in federal court, is now spilling across into the United States. And just like the CIA imported cocaine in the 80s, this has been declassified to destabilize the United States, came out in Iran-Contra. This is a much wider scale, just like they're importing jihadis by the hundreds of thousands out of the Caucasus, out of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Pakistan and Afghanistan to wreak havoc from northern Africa to Central Africa to Western Africa, so then NORTHCOM has an excuse to move in and take over, or AFRICOM. Then they're expanding that into the Middle East with Syria. They're expanding that now into Iraq on record. This is a grand destabilization program. And so it's the same thing that we see worldwide. The New World Order used the same strategy of destabilization, balkanization on a planetary scale. And even though I had a bunch of family issues and things I had to take care of today, I literally couldn't sleep last night. And here I am calling into my own show today. We've got Dr. Jerome Corsi coming up to break down how they're bringing in the North American Union. We've got David Knight with his excellent analysis to break it down. We're going to have our reporters at the bottom of the hour, and then later in the broadcast covering the purposeful collapse of our border into the North American Union and the North American security perimeter. Search North American security perimeter. It's from Mexico to Alaska. They implode the internal borders, then set up a federalization, multinationalization after they have already created the crisis. And they said in the secret documents the Judicial Watch suit got in 2007 that we cover in Endgame that they would use border crises and collapse. That's why we knew this was coming, to bring in the North American Union. They also said flu or other superbugs, which we now see coming out of Latin America and other areas where antibiotics are sold on the shelves. That's just on record. And terrorism. And so what does this do? We have record numbers of real ISIS jihadis pouring across the southern border. We have link-ups with the Mexican mafia doing this. We have the CIA using all this as cutouts. We have Wells Fargo and Wachovia in Bloomberg caught running the aircraft and laundering $300+ billion. Folks, look it up. I'm not joking. This is a major, massive, global organized crime operation that in the end will scapegoat the poor Latin Americans and Mexicans who are just living in desperate hell and who I don't blame trying to come up here and get the welfare and the kickbacks. All of it's cemented together, though, with race politics, energizing Hispanics into a Hispanic Ku Klux Klan cadre, because that's such a successful political process, just like our government, British intelligence, funded Adolf Hitler. That's declassified, came out in the congressional hearings, the church committees, the McCormick-Dickstein committees. Again, look it up. My film Endgame actually has the newsreels of the committees where our government put Hitler in to then wreck Europe, blow everything up, then they took him out. So again, they will end up taking out the Mexican mafia and MS-13 and all these groups when they're done conquering America. And our Border Patrol is fighting a real threat. See, just like our troops fight real Al-Qaeda overseas and get maimed and killed, we're not saying MS-13 or Al-Qaeda isn't real. We're saying it's being loosed, it's being controlled, it's being funded, it's being allowed to operate through the big banks. And that's why Obama's coming to Austin, and our great team's going to be covering it. David Knight, Leanne McAdoo, and others, and Darren McBreen, and John Bound, and others. I want all of you guys to, and myself included, I'm going to be out in the next few days when he speaks at the Paramount Theater, talking to the people out there, pointing out what treason this is, and showing what cult members the Democrats are. Robert Rodriguez producing all these race war films that Machete is meant to push. That's what
what you're now seeing break out on the border as desperate Americans, black, white, Hispanic, Asians, say, my God, if we don't have a border, we have nothing. Kari Jackson and Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs will be separately reporting from the border there in Southern California. And we've also got reports getting filed the next few hours by Kit Daniels, breaking news on our criminal occupied government literally dissolving the border and ordering ICE to stand down and calling in riot police to go after U.S. citizens. And again, the poor populations of Latin America are being used as pawns. On average, they're not racist. They don't hate America. They dream of coming here, and they're hardworking people. This is the Democrats, the globalists, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Republican Party leadership working with them to try to get the welfare queens of Latin America and the world to come here to be part of a new political class. But that's a side issue to the greater crisis if this larger mass is allowed to get in. And the precedent set, this will bring an even bigger wave. As we've said, if they give 30 million illegals amnesty, and the amnesty says then their families can come, it'll be a domino effect where tens of millions a year will come, not just millions. And the country's already bankrupt by every metric. And that is the plan. But not just financially bankrupt, absolute crazy town in the streets, while citizens cleaning guns in their own garage are being SWAT teamed because the neighbor sees a gun in rural Tennessee or in rural Illinois. I mean, they're training spy on your neighbors, street light microphones to listen to everyone, NSA spy on everybody. And then Petraeus and Pelosi hide it in plain view. Those clips are coming up. And say this is about a North American Union. Yes, a hellish North American Union where we don't lift Mexico up, we all collapse. This is the plan. And it just illustrates how everything is a giant fraud. And then you get these bizarre communist, they're openly communist, brown berets funded by the Ford Foundation, showing up, threatening people, shooting their mouths off, holding up pictures of blonde-haired black people's heads chopped off. We have video of that. Saying we're going to get the evil, white people. And then the media covers this up. And this is who the media and Robert Rodriguez and everybody holds up as the leaders of Hispanics, is a bunch of gang-banging, ex-con. They are identical except for skin color, in my view, to the Klan. I mean, they're literally poor, dumb, mindless, racist people. And so they train Americans not to be tribal or racist, because all groups are, like I said, a primitive level. And then, maybe like if you went to a biker gang and just showed up and said you were a member, they'd throw you out. Or you showed up at a, private black club and showed up, and you weren't even for the neighborhood, more black, they'd throw you out, or white. That's basic club or gang mentality humans have. And so again, they get rid of our gang mentality in America. Then they create hardcore gang mentalities in groups, export them in, and America has no political will to deal with it. The political system thinks we're in such a coma that they will allow Obamacare to wreck the country. They will allow open borders to wreck the country. They will openly fund Al-Qaeda to take over the Middle East and Africa. They will openly give them Stinger missiles. They will openly put our military under NATO command. I mean, David Knight, if they will get away with this, what do you think's next? I'll tell you. Giant false flags blamed on the Liberty Movement. I mean, this is the age of just total takeover. This is it. The hammer's being dropped. The border's being dropped. The world government's being announced. The global taxes are being announced. The end of the dollar is being moved into place. The hammers are dropping, folks. This is the beginning, as I've told everyone the last few years. You're going to see the acceleration, the quickening, and then all hell is going to break loose. You've got to call all your friends and family. You've got to have them tune into what our reporters are going to break down from the border. What's going to be filed on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com in the next few hours with our reporters. What we're going to be covering in Austin with Obama coming and not going to the border, not meeting with the governor who's begging for aid, with the stand down. This is open treason. This is open treason. He's meeting with Robert Rodriguez, the grand dragon of the Hispanic racist movement, to literally forge a racist nation, just like the globalists created the Nazis. They will destroy them in the end. They will destroy the Hispanics in the end. They will destroy us all. They will abort our children. They will inject us with Gardasil. We must come together under human liberty. People love gangs, Bill of Rights, Constitution. Constitution, due process, Second Amendment, right to self-defense, coming together like we saw at that Alamo rally, black, white, Hispanic. About a third of the people were Hispanic. There with their guns, totally getting it.
That's right, Alex. What's it going to be to collapse the country? Is it going to be a suitcase nuke? We'll find out. Maybe it's a population bomb.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today and get your free wire stand with the purchase of a ProPure Big Water Filtration System. This is a limited time offer, so don't delay. Visit InfoWarsStore.com today or call 1-888-253-3139.